reality on WrestleZone.com, your #1 procrastination football on the internet. Juice, the Rev, LeVar, and gentlemen, it is now time to build two great fruits of fire, and we now know who the #1 contender.
How about that logo, huh?
Well, how about that logo?
How
do you feel about it?
I don't know what it looks like. Can you elaborate on what this logo looks like, Renell? Grapefruits.
They're very ballsy with the graphics. Whoever's in that department, I mean, it's.
I feel like it'd be a graphic you'd come up with. You've spit balls out on this table.
It's just amazing to think they're using a song that's like 60 years old.
Yeah.
They got a jukebox in the graphic. I mean, their target audience probably has never even seen a jukebox.
Old
let
people.
alone use one.
Old, balding.
I'm not the target audience. The target audience is younger.
Older.
The target audience is younger.
Older. Concerned about balls.
They've never seen it. All right. So Samoa Joe is going to go up against Brock Lesnar.
Oh, jeez. It's a dream match.
Is it a dream?
It's a dream match, but I don't think it's going to live up to the expectations.
I think honestly, looking at the fact that we know that Roman Reigns wasn't going to be right now, and look at the other options, Samoa Joe is probably the one that I'm most comfortable with out of the 5.
I agree.
Until we can get Braun Strowman.
Not like Bray Wyatt would have a chance anyway. It could have been against
empty promise.
He could have been against anybody who'd have lost.
Yeah,
Bray Wyatt loses all the time.
I know a lot of people were upset thinking it was going to be Bray, and especially with me, I kind of put that in as my picking. I definitely did not see it going Finn's way. I feel like we all kind of seen that thing happening, but I honestly, they caught me off guard with having Joe win. So
I think we see Finn down the line though at some point.
Probably, and that's I switched in the last day when I put my Wrestle Rumble, my final pick. I did put in Samoa Joe because really I thought about it. I was like, whoever they have fight Brock in July, they're not going to do a repeat in August. August SummerSlam match has to be a first time match, and it's like with Finn's gonna. When it happens, they're going to probably make a series or more than one out of Finn Balor. Or Finn's going to win in the first time.
We're all in agreement that they would have that match, though, right? Based on Heyman's little promo, that they're going to meet somewhere down the line, no matter where.
It's either going to be a series or Finn's going to win that first time. So I'm like, okay, it's not going to be Finn in July. It's not going to be Roman. I doubt it's going to be Seth again. So then it came down to Bray or Joe. So I went with Joe. And the good thing about Joe is, I'll admit, I'm not the biggest Samoa Joe fan. It's not because I don't think he's talented. I think it's just because when he was in TNA, I just didn't think necessarily the people around him were always the best to make him seem dangerous. But I'll say
AJ Styles, no.
Well, no, AJ's I'm not saying all, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying all. I'm saying generally. But Samoa
Kurt
Joe,
Angle, no.
Here's the best thing that's.
Stop burning it.
It's not. But you're listening. I'm not saying there was not any, but you're listing the highlights ones. I'm just saying. Especially in WWE, Joe hasn't done much, but that's kind of helped him. He hasn't done much, but he also hasn't gotten beat ridiculous. He hasn't been made to look ridiculous.
So it's nice that this is his chance to get Brock right now.
As long as he does not lose in quick fashion, he's going to be elevated. So we need to get a TKO or have him pass out or have Braun come in and make this a no contest.
Why can't they just shoot fight? Just kill each other.
Fight.
That'd be incredible. So the thing is, I think it's a great way to sell tickets for this event that no one, aside from just Brock's going to be there, no one really cares about. Like the name is weird, and they're like, I don't know how I should take this seriously. This match makes me take it a lot serious.
I think it's going to have a lot of eyes on Joe. I think a lot of people, now that it's in, whether people seen it or not, now they're anticipating it. We haven't really seen much out of Joe, like both of you guys alluded to, but at the same time, this is a time where people's going to say, okay, it's time for you to put up or shut up.
Because a lot,
even do it.
He had a match against Sami Zayn at Fastlane. Am I right or am I wrong? But that was earlier in the card. This is probably a main event. This is where a lot of eyes are going to be on him, as you said, and I think it's going to be good for his exposure. I hope it's just not
a good spot to put it in.
It's critical how they. I mean, obviously, I like the fact that he attacked Paul Heyman because Paul Heyman rarely gets physically involved in the matches or the build, so it stands out when he does. So I like that, and I thought the promo was really well done between Joe and Heyman. Joe needs to be super dominant. I know you got to fill TV time, but that match against Seth Rollins was too long. Again, Joe had.
You wanted a squash match with Seth Rollins?
Look, I'm not saying necessarily a squash, but there shouldn't even be a match. Joe was on the offense for the bulk of the time. He had the bulk of the match. He's in control. That's fine. But it still went over 10, 12 minutes, and then there was a commercial in between. I would rather just to show that because he's obviously playing the heel. Brock is playing more of the face.
Wouldn't have killed him to have Brock out there to interfere immediately.
Well,
he didn't have to show up the rest of the time.
Save Brock for next week. Have Rollins come out. Have Joe attack Rollins before the match even starts, and just let it be a big schmoz.
Yeah.
We need to see Joe as vicious as possible. He was vicious to Paul Heyman. Again, we don't often see that with Paul. We need to see that kind of stuff the next 5 weeks. I don't want to see competitive matches.
Longevity needs to be saved to leave that imagination there.
First thoughts, though, Brock's going to win, right?
Yes. Well, Brock's going to walk out the title.
He's not going to.
He's walking out the title.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we're all. Yeah.
This is not a gender situation where Ginger just wins. There's no way. I don't think there's any way Samoa Joe wins.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're the big bold gender call last time. You're
going
going to make a big
Samoa Joe call? They loved you for that on the internet, by the way. They loved you for it.
I can't, no. I can't see it.
Well, we'd love to hear what you think. Let's go ahead now and send it down to Fort Lauderdale. Josh Eisenberg, Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar. Your thoughts?
Thank you, Justin. You know, I look at WWE and I see Samoa Joe, the Samoan submission machine, a guy that's 282 pounds of pure strength, a guy who's strong, physical, kind of like this guy having his own action figure. Remember this day? Anyway, let's stay on track here. Samoa Joe was the only option to beat potentially Brock Lesnar or have the opportunity to be believable in beating Brock Lesnar. Samoa Joe is a guy that everybody has wanted to see Brock Lesnar face for such a long time, even dating back to when he was not even with WWE and then picking steam up whenever he was with NXT. Why is Samoa Joe a guy who's not completely chiseled, a guy who's not completely fit, but a guy who's athletic and strong nonetheless, the best option for Brock Lesnar? If Braun Strowman is not ready at SummerSlam, WWE needs to go all in, invest 100% on Samoa Joe. What other heel do they have? What other guy do they have that can face Brock Lesnar? I'm sorry, 295-pound Brock Lesnar versus 190 Finn Balor isn't something that I want to see right now. Yes, it could be money-making down the road, but that's not what they need right now in a July pay-per-view of great balls of fire. They need Samoa Joe to put on a performance. And I think this match actually is going to go longer than 10 minutes. I think you're going to see Samoa Joe get some strikes. Samoa Joe take some German suplexes. They're going to tease Samoa Joe because if they let Samoa Joe lose to Brock Lesnar in 5 or less minutes, that's it for Samoa Joe. He's not at the status of Randy Orton where he can come back from a physical beatdown like we saw with Randy Orton at SummerSlam last year. They need to slowly but surely build Samoa Joe up into a guy that could be World Championship material because quite frankly, he can. He can be that. And this past week on the mic, this past week in the ring showed me that Samoa Joe, I am all in on Joe. He might not be champion, but he is the damn best and only option to face Brock Lesnar in July on a pay-per-view where people are going to need to watch. That's all that I have to say. Coming up, NXT in 90. Get your watches set because I'm going to talk about a heel turn that was well overdue.